style presentation, which means rapid fire in the slides, so keep a close eye on them. So today I'm talking to you about the Iconic Project. Many of you have heard about this today. Sponsored by NDIP and initiated last year by the Anticopian Institute, and Catherine Skinner in particular, who's the PI. This project is meant to identify continuing opportunities for national collaboration around digital stewardship. I'd like to take this moment to thank those of you who've taken the time to respond to our surveys and our focus groups, as well as thank NDIP for its support. Today I'm really going to be talking about just a fraction of the data we've collected, primarily the surveys that we've sent out to all of you, both the primary contacts who received one version and working group participants who received another. Now, my statistician would like me to tell you that it is very dangerous to generalize these results, and you don't want to have dangerous statistics, those are scary. So, long story short, we had 91 people who responded, but because of the size of the NDSA, that is not enough. So, any percentages you're about to see are specific to the respondents in the survey. We started with talking about the roots of the NDSA. What is the perception about the mission and the purpose of the organization? You will see here that the top 3 themes that surfaced all centered around knowledge sharing. These responses noted general information sharing, outreach activities, and the creation and or dissemination of best practices. Well, the good news is we also saw that there was an indication that this perceived mission is being fulfilled. 34 of the 45 primary contacts who responded indicated that their organization's knowledge of digital stewardship best practices had increased thanks to their NDSA membership. Now, to take a slightly different look at things, we wanted to be able to engage virtual organizational literature from the fields of business, management, computer and information sciences. So we wanted to look at, how do the working groups work? So one of the questions we asked those of you in the working groups who responded is, what works well? You'll see that about a third here responded that it was the leadership, closely followed by, again, knowledge sharing, discussion, idea sharing, and brainstorming. But that leaves room for opportunity, and this indicator here is an interesting one because we also asked those primary contacts what did they think was their, the degree of organizational participation. And over half of them said too little. When we asked the working group respondents to estimate their annual project-related contribution to the NDSA, and this is including research, case studies, and reports, about a quarter of those who responded said that they didn't contribute anything. And nearly half contributed over 20 hours. You can see the spread was quite diverse. I like the 3 who are around 100 hours. What's interesting here is that, people are noticing that range. When you look at, we asked working group members, what is the average level of engagement by a member in your working group? You see there are only about 40% said they were engaged. The rest varied between neutral and not engaged at all. So what I take from all of these slides is, for many of you, among these groups, we have listeners, we have lurkers, and we have superheroes. So you can see that again reflected here. There's some passive engagement and some active engagement. And then there's a portion that aren't participating. Now, when this comes back to the working group participants, we asked them, what could be improved? And the top 3 things resoundingly were increase our capacity. The number of folks participating, as well as the level of activity and level of participation. Now, one place you might be able to find that time is actually in how things contribute. You can see here, looking at tasks, project management, and even email response rates. Those are places where they could be improved. So at an individual level, you could all help. One area we looked at here were collaborative connections. And it's very interesting here to see that within the working groups, they're serving today as a means for networking. Both a third didn't know anyone upon joining the working group, and another third hardly knew anyone. And so in this forum, this is where people are really meeting and getting to know each other within the NDSA. Now, when talking about impact, we asked our primary contacts across communities, is the NDSA having an impact? And you see there's a very positive one, both in fostering collaboration among diverse communities and among the diverse sectors. What's really interesting here is when we ask those same individuals what's happening within their organizations, we don't see a similar increase in collaborations among organizations, either like them or unlike them. So with that, there's a lot of interesting things here, and as I said, this is just a fraction, but we're continuing the conversation. So if you would like to add to this conversation, which will also be fueling the Aligning National Approaches to Digital Preservation conference later this year, which Catherine Skinner again is heading up, I would suggest you join us tomorrow afternoon. Thank you so much.